Ladies and gentlemen, let me on behalf of the Ministry of Education and Science welcome all of you here. I think it's a great opportunity for exchanging opinions and hearing some novelties and the ways to foster development of science and research in Georgia. And for this opportunity, I think special thanks should be paid for the European Research Foundation Horizon 2020. I would like to express gratitude on behalf of Ministry of Education and Science. And same time, I would like to mention that despite the fact that there are significant increase in funding when it comes to the budgetary support of the education and science in Georgia, which was quite well illustrated by 70% increase of budgets this year and even further increases envisaged in 2018. Still, I think what most of the problem with education, research and science in Georgia is lack of funding. That's why the Horizon 2020 represents a great opportunity for all of us to somehow trying to find a solution on this matter. I think from the point of view of the ministry, we are ready to provide any support if it will come to any recommendation letters, any support letters, any advice. Our NCP coordinator is ready to provide any advices. I think the Shota Research Foundation does tremendous job as well and giving advices to the people and at the same time standing ready to support any scientific research innovation. I don't going to bother you much. I think it will be very interesting day, and I'd like to express gratitude to the organizers for having such opportunity. Thank you very much. All right.
I would also like to welcome you to this information day on behalf of the Shota Rustaveli National Science Foundation. Our working language is English, and that is why we are addressing you with the welcoming words, and the whole presentations will also be in English. Let me briefly tell you about today's agenda and also the idea and the concept of today's working meeting. First of all, we would like to thank our project, which is funded as part of the Horizon 2020. This is one of the international projects that our foundation is involved in. It is called EAP Plus. And so as part of the EAP Plus project, today's event takes place, and we would like to thank our partner institutions that helped us to make this information day happen. And also would like to thank you, especially Dr. Kadden and Adam, for being with us today in this very tough information day from the point of view of organization, because we had different arrangements as well. What we want to deliver to you today is perspectives on how to engage and how to participate in H2020 calls. You know that recently 2018-2020 work programs have been published, and we have disseminated this information among our scientific community. We want to highlight the importance of work programs and tell you how to use and to get the most out of the working programs, and also ask our speakers to tell you how to engage more, what are the best means, what are the legislative financial issues, and also I would like also to thank our Georgian national NCPs who will be sharing their experience and who will be participating in NCP panel, which is number 3 session in our agenda. One more issue that I will take your attention on is the materials that we have gathered. It is published on our website, and also we have sent you emails through our registry. You have registered for today's event, and those who have registered have received emails from us showing you the link. And the link unites today's program, presentations, and more presentations will be uploaded as we did not have the complete version of them. But anyway, those that we had, they are already uploaded. By the end of the day, you will have more material. We also have here the work program according to the sections. We also have the information days that were arranged as part of our foundation and as part of the other institutions as well. Webinars, various materials that can be helpful. So this is somehow what we try to gather as and upload in one link. And should you have any questions, we will be more than happy to provide further detailed information. What you have in your printed versions is today's agenda, also feedback forms. We will be asking you later to fill in your feedback forms and to let us know how to arrange and organize information days in the future in a better manner, and what would be your suggestions, what kind of topics to include in the agenda. So that is why we will be kindly asking you to fill in the feedback forms. Also, we have some materials that Adam provided for you, some guidelines for participation, and we also have printed out a sort of a table of content for work programs, which means a list of calls that might be of interest for you. Well, we will be here for you to give further details on how to select the right direction for you, how to select the right call for you, and so I will be stopping now, and I will give words to next speaker, Adam, to give us an introductory presentation for today. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Sure. Wonderful. So, good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam David. I came from Budapest, from the Regional Center for Information and Scientific Development, RCISD. And my aim is, here today, in my first presentation, to summarize you how you can prepare yourself for a Horizon 2020 project proposal. Just a second. We're trying to make it full screen for you. And then I will start with 8 questions, which are for special interest. Just a second. Can you please... Okay, just a second. Wonderful. So, first of all, I advise you to ask for yourself these 8 questions. The first one is, what kind of project will I implement? So you have to define the scope, the limits, the objectives, and the expected impact of your project. The second question could be, what will I do with the results? This summarizes the exploitation, the dissemination, and the knowledge transfer of your future project. The third, and one of the most important questions, is with whom you will implement this project. Who does what? So you really have to build a really strong consortium, divide the respective tasks and responsibilities within the group of partners. The fourth question could be, why should my project be funded by the European Commission? So what is the European added value of the project? You have to, I will several times highlight the European language. So there are several expressions what you really should use in your proposal. And the fifth question is, how will I successfully carry it to term? That means you have to think of your resources, have a really strong management and methodology. The next question is, how much will it cost? Of course, about financial issues is going to talk my colleague, Mr. Béla Cardon. So the budget plan and the contribution of the European Commission is really important in this topic. And the seventh question is whether you have the organization's support. So whether you have the feasible human and financial resources to carry out the project. And last but not least, am I ready to coordinate and to be on first line with both the consortium and the European Commission? Okay, let me just summarize the three main pillars of Horizon 2020. So, first of all, we have excellent science. For instance, I just highlight Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions in this pillar. RCISD is organizing for over 10 years now the European Night of Researchers Night. You might have heard of this wonderful event. This is a really nice example for Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. This kind of project is, for instance, for raising attention to the career of a researcher, how to make it as popular as possible. The second pillar is industrial leadership. I would like to highlight in this pillar innovation of SMEs, small and middle-sized enterprises, or access to risk finance. And the third pillar is really important. These are the so-called societal challenges. For instance, secure, clean and efficient energy is really important also in your country, or climate action, environment, resource efficiency and raw materials. So these are really important topics, hot topics, so to say. You can find all information on these calls and topics on the following link. And as it was already highlighted, my presentation and all the presentations are presented, are already uploaded. So if you take a closer look at my presentation, you will have many links, many useful information on that web pages. All right. We should talk firstly and mainly about the new Horizon 2020 work program, namely which is the upcoming 3 years. On the 27th October this year, the European Commission presented the final work program for Horizon 2020, and it invests 30 billion euros in new solutions and on new in breakthrough market creating innovation. And there are some really hot topics which are a little bit fewer but critical, such as migration, security, climate, clean energy and digital economy. So these are the new highlights of the work program. And this work program encourages applications from researchers, also from EAP countries. And these are the so-called SPIRE calls, and the second session is going to focus on this. But let me just tell you a few words on it as an introduction. So SPIRE calls explicitly encourage participation from Eastern Partnership countries. This is good news for you. And the main topics are nanotechnologies, advanced materials, biotechnology, and advanced manufacturing and processing. The deadline for the first calls is on the 22nd February 2018, and others will follow in the upcoming 2 years, so 2019 and 2020. The most important point here is that interested EAP researchers seeking for European partners can consult the SPIRE Association at this website. And for more information, you should click on the draft work program, and you will find more information on SPIRE. EAP Plus project also implements a series of support actions to stimulate this process, to stimulate the success of SPIRE calls. For instance, such an information day, what we are attending here right now, or a webinar on the SPIRE calls, which will be, for instance, on the 23rd of November, or grants for traveling into the European Union. I will talk about this after the coffee break. And now comes the most important part of my presentation, namely the preparation of Horizon 2020 proposal. These are the 5 steps. Find a call, find partners, create an account, register your organization, and last but not least, to submit the proposal itself. This is the submission procedure. Let me quickly summarize how it goes. The first step is finding a call. And this is probably the most crucial part. If you find the ideal call for you, then you can go further on. So, European Commission publishes all the calls of its research and innovation programs on the participant portal. This is the main portal for such calls. And your national contact point can help you out, of course, and in finding the suitable calls. And small and middle-grade enterprises are supported also by the Enterprise Europe Network, EEN. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. All right. What are the eligibility criteria? I won't read you all, but the most important points are here. The type of action. If it's research and innovation action, then the funding rate is 100%. It takes 3 or 4 years. The average contribution of the European Commission is, in this case, between 2 and 5 million euros. And the aim is to carry out collaborative research projects. In case of innovation actions, it can vary the funding rate, as you can see. The duration is between 30 and 36 months. The average contribution is the same as in the first case. And the aim is here to produce plans and arrangements or designs for new, altered, or improved products, processes, or services. The third type of action is coordination and support action. In this case, you need at least one legal entity. The funding rate is also 100%. It lasts between 1 year and 30 months. In this case, the average contribution is a little bit lower, between 500,000 and 2 million euros. And the aim is to accompany measures, standardization, dissemination, policy dialogues, and so on. So it's not about research. And the last type of actions is called SME instrument. In this case, you need one SME in a member state or an associated country. And this has 3 phases. The lump sum, the second phase between 1 and 2.5 million, and it's the first and second year, and it has 70% of eligible cost reimbursed. And in the third phase, there is no funding. This is really important. And what is the aim in this case? To combine of demonstration activities such as testing, prototyping, etc., and market replication. All right. Let's go to the next step, finding partners. It's also really important, of course. Find the ideal partners and build up a consortium. In this procedure, it is really important to find an ideal coordinator for the project. Let me just talk to you a little bit about this role, because the coordinator is the driver of the project, from the idea of the project to the final reporting. So he has to have an overview over the full project. He has to coordinate between all the partners. He is a reference point, and he has unique contact with the project officer. His role starts with preparing grant agreement and financial technical reports with the EC. So he is responsible for the project. He takes the responsibility. And the evaluators focus closely on the following points: the coordinator's experience of multi-partners projects, his profile or her profile, so the CV has to be perfect, and the financial stability of the organization he is participating in, and of course he has to have a credible management plan for the consortium. All right. And then when we have a nice idea and a good coordinator, then we have to find the right partners, of course. A good partner has some skills I summarize to you. For instance, of course, he or she or the partner institution has to be active and proactive, has to contribute to the project substantially. Of course, it should be experience in implementation of projects, and linguistic competencies are also important. So in this case, English skills really important. If you have an established network that you can combine with the other partners, it can help a lot in dissemination as well and in the project implementation. And it is very important to have committed and motivated partners. And each partner has a specific role, and they bring added value to the project. Okay, the next step is to have a balanced and efficient partnership. So, what does it mean? You have to be active in the cooperation of all the partners. You have to share the roles and funds in a balanced way. You need a sufficient number of experienced partners. So it's not good if the consortium is too small, and it's also not good if it's too big. So you have to find this balance. Of course, you have to share the risks, although the coordinator takes the main responsibility. The risks you have to share, and it's in an ideal case, it's a clear and democratic rules that are defining the decision making. It is also nice idea. It's also we highly recommend you to invite SMEs as well, and the geographical balance is also really important. So including new member states or from associated countries or third countries, it can also have an added value. And the gender balance is also really important. All right, how to write the proposal? You should appoint the person who is in charge of the writing. And first of all, you need to make a draft summary as basis for discussion, which could be the basis for further brainstorming. So in this summary, you need to define the call and the topic addressed, the type of action, the main objectives, of course, the preliminary division in work packages, the main deliverables, the main responsibilities of each partner, the explicit title. It's really important to find a perfect title reflecting the content of the proposal, the acronym, which is easily memorizable. So it's not always so easy to find a nice acronym, and a global planning. And then you really need to follow the provided template. So it has to be structured and correspond to the 3 evaluation criteria, namely excellence, impact, quality, and efficiency of the implementation. Very important.
The questions will be taken after the session, but most of the presentations will be completed, okay? So you can keep your questions, and then maybe we have a discussion after the presentations.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bela Cardon. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of the Regional Center for Information and Scientific Development. Yes, at full screen mode, please. Yeah, just full screen mode. Just go down the menu. But then the fourth one. Yeah, we have it now. Thank you very much. I will shortly introduce ourselves, our company, and then speak about the lessons of the association process. I think this might be very, very interesting and important lessons for you as a country associated with the framework program, because sometimes I think that a country like Hungary is for you, Georgia, a country, I would say, in between. If we look on the innovation environment in Northwest Europe, let's say in Netherlands, then I can surely say that in Hungary it's not the same. We are far behind in GDP per capita or in gross expenditure on research and development, but this is quite clear. And if I look on countries like Moldova or Ukraine, they are even a bit behind us. it means that and this might be the case for Georgia too. And I think that the experiences of a country being new in the European Union might be very interesting for you being associated with the framework program. Then I will speak a bit about the working program 15, spreading excellence and widening participations. And at last but not least, about urban networks for research and innovation in Brazil, United States, and China. I thought I will speak in general about your possibilities, how to come closer to the framework program, because the Spreading Excellence and Widening Participation working program is not for all of you, only for some of you. That's why I thought my presentation should be more general. The Regional Center of Innovation and Scientific Development is a company. It's a small enterprise owned by private persons. We have for-profit and non-for-profit activities. Our for-profit activity is giving advice and support to Hungarian enterprises and institutions who are working in the field of innovation. We don't sell wise tips for money. We are working for success fee. So it means we have revenues only if our partners have income from our operation. What type of activities can this be? I don't know how this is in Georgia, but in Hungary, if you go to a country university who are not very experienced in the framework program, but they have one project. You know, if you have a German university with dozens of projects, they have a financial department who are aware of the situation, who know how to make the reporting. If you go to countries where some of the institutions have some projects, then they don't have this practice. Now you have in this Hungarian university in the country an accountant who is my age, a real professional, knows all the rules, how to run finance part of an institution, but cannot speak English. So what is the researcher doing? You come to an interim report, and you have to write the report about the activity. All of the researcher can do it. Then you have to write a financial report. And then you go to the accountant and give him or her a sheet of a lot of papers. For example, in the FP7, the financial guidelines, 100 pages. In Horizon 2020, the model grant agreement, hundreds of pages. And he or she will cry. She will not understand what this is, what to do with this, cannot understand it. And this may be a big problem. What do you need? You have to be able to ask the accountant the right questions. If you ask him or her about, for example, the salaries of the researchers and the costs of labor, he or she will be able to report it. If you ask about the cost of travels, events, etc., and equipment, he or she will be able to do this. You need a kind of interface, somebody who can connect the researcher and the accountant to be able to report. We, our company, are doing this. On the other hand, we have non-for-profit activities. We are participating in research projects and especially in the framework program. Our company is 6 years old. We are 10 people. In Horizon 2020, in the number of projects, we are the second most successful company in Hungary. We had in the 6 years over 9 participations in FP7 and 8 participations in Horizon 2020, and in cooperating with a large number of countries in the world. It means more than 90 partners in more than 43 countries. So this is my Cato slide. I usually start my presentation with this, because we are always speaking about competition. Competitiveness of a country, competitiveness of an economy. If politicians are giving speeches, they always raise this question, how important this is to make a country, a region competitive, and what they will do for this. Everybody knows that we need for competitiveness, competitive enterprises, and we are always raising the question how these competitive enterprises will have competitive labor force. And now most of them stop here. My question is, where is competitive labor force coming from in the 21st century? I think in the 21st century, where the biggest share of GDP is coming from services, competitive labor force is coming from higher education, competitive higher education institutions. And there is no competitive higher education without competitive research and innovation. And now we are arrived at research and innovation. So how was our association to the framework program? On the left side you can see the political association of Hungary to the European Union. We had the change in 1989. We had the first elections in 1990. We became associated to the European Union in 1994. And in 2004, Hungary became a member of the European Union. If you look on the research and innovation policy level, we joined it first 25 years ago, Costa and Eureka. In the first framework program, we participated project by project level. It means that we had a national agency who paid the Hungarian part of the participation in the framework program. We became associated to the framework program in 1999 during the fifth framework program, and the EU accession was during the sixth framework program, which started in 2000. I have to think about it. In 2004 and lasted until 2006. What were the challenges? My first is the freedom versus GDP, or gross expenditure on research on development as a share of GDP. Before the change, the Hungarian gross expenditure on research and development was above 2%. It was, if you compare it with other European countries, quite high. It might be the double than in Austria, but in amount, in share of, in percentage of GDP. After the change, till 1995, it was decreasing to less than 1/3, below 0.7%. It was terrible. I graduated in 1989. I'm a trained physicist, and I remember these times when the resources vanished. When we speak about freedom versus the expenditure on GDP, I remember the generation of my parents as researchers, what problems they had. To simplify the model, earlier it was told us what to do, and the resources were available. Then the big freedom came, and the resources vanished. In 1999, we became member of the framework program. This is a very, very important step. And this is why the association of Georgia is very, very important, because if you are associated to the framework program, it means that you are paying into one part of the European Union. As a member state, we have to pay an amount to the European Union as a part of the GDP. If you would share this part theoretically to different disciplines, agriculture, industry, health, education, science, etc., then it means that you are paying in the part of science, and since you are paying in the part of science, your scientists are theoretically members of the European Union. Your scientists, your researchers, your innovators can work as scientists, researchers, innovators of the European Union. What kind of scientists you have in all of the countries in the world? In my mind, I have 4 categories. The first category is the very top. Those scientists who are well known everywhere in the world, there's only a few of them, who have Levy grants in the States, have a guest professorship in Oxford or in Heidelberg, and they are simply not interested in the framework program because they have much more possibilities in the European framework program. The second category are those scientists who are in the network, are experienced in the framework program, are usually participating in European consortia. These are researchers and innovators who don't need help. The third category is a very important category. Researchers and innovators who would be able, but are not in the network. Here, help is needed. And the fourth category, of course, there are always people who call themselves scientists and have heard about this 80 billion euros and would be very happy to come closer to this big pot of money, but are not able to participate, are not on the level of participation. Just let me raise a question. Adam mentioned before the participant portal. Is this one? I can shout quite loudly, but maybe if you
It
want
is.
to record. Thank you very much. Who of you is registered as an expert? May I see your hands? Higher, that I can make my statistics. Not enough. If you go to the participant portal and register yourself, there's a button, register as an expert. It takes some time, half an hour, maybe 1 hour. But if you are registered as an expert, you might be taken as an evaluator. I don't say you will be taken, but you might be taken as an evaluator. You invest an hour of your time to register as an expert, but if you are taken as an evaluator, on the one hand, it's a very well-paid job. On the other hand, you will have the possibility to read proposals. Just do it. Please do it today. This is my first advice for widening participation in the framework program. So if we look on the participation of Hungary to the fifth framework program, these are the investments of the country, of the European Union, and the FAR was a kind of pre-accession or neighborhood fund of the European Union. You have such a kind of fund from the European Union too.
You turned it off.
Is the battery good enough? I have to be careful not to push the bad button. Okay, if you look on the participation of Hungary in the framework programs, you can see we were quite successful. Of course, the lowest was during the fourth framework program, but in the fourth, during the... Thank you very much. During the fourth framework program, we received more resources than Poland. We were really quite successful, and you can see our participation in the fifth, sixth, and seventh framework program in euro, in number of projects, and on the left side have the figure of the participation of the association countries and new member states to the framework program. It's rising, but it's not enough. If we look on the first 2 years of the new framework program, Horizon 2020, you can see that the situation of all new member states is not the best. If you add up from Poland down to Malta, the amount would be less than what Netherlands received alone. I have here another graph for the Eastern Partnership countries, because on the one hand, it's not easy to represent them in the same graph. There would be too many countries. On the other hand, the amounts are even lower. Only Ukraine is between Malta and Lithuania. All the other countries below. So we should do something. What to do? The first two, what you can do, what authorities in the country can do, means the more national resources spending on research and innovation, and the more higher gross expenditure on research and development as a share of GDP, the better would be the participation in the framework program. The third, coming more familiar with European programs, there are some possibilities for us, the member states, to help you. And I will speak about such actions, about the widening actions. These widening actions are more or less for the first category of researchers I mentioned, for the real excellent ones. You could see on my graph, and the European Commission recognized it too, after the interim evaluation of the seventh framework program, that the participation of the new member states is low. So, but why do we have the framework program? We have the framework program to exploit the potential of Europe's talent pool. And talent pool means all the talents we have in the European research area, and you belong to the research area too. It means that, of course, in a country like Georgia, we have theoretically, statistically, the same number of talents like in Croatia, and since human brain is our most important resource, we have to use these resources. How to help it? The European Union started widening actions. The core widening actions are teaming, twinning, and era chairs. And of course, it is expected to have synergies with the European structural and investment funds. I don't know what kind of funds you have in Georgia. You might have a kind of neighborhood fund. Do you have from the European regional development fund. You have some EU support, not only Horizon 2020. But it depends on the country, how they use these funds. So for example, it depends how we, Hungarians, use the European Structural Investment Funds. We, Hungarians, have to plan these funds, and it depends only on us what the share goes to health, research, or economic development, etc. Which are the eligible countries for widening actions? From the member states, all the new member states, plus Portugal, plus Luxembourg. From the associated countries, you can see these are the rather low-income associated countries. Israel, Switzerland, and Norway is missing. They are not eligible for the widening actions. Maybe they are more successful than we are. Which are the widening actions? I mentioned these actions. The first is twinning. Teaming is a two-phase proposal. On first phase, you have to develop a business plan for the future center, but it has to be in close connection with the regional innovation smart specialization strategy of the region. This is the RIS3. And in the second phase, you have to implement the future center. The deadline for all the widening actions is in a year. You have time to prepare, but these actions are for very few and very excellent institutions. You have to know this. The twinning action is for institutional networking, for short-term visits, expert visits, on-site trainings, workshops, etc. The ERA chairs are a kind of mobility actions, bringing excellence to institution. For example, how to bring excellent scientists from Western Europe, Hungary, or to Georgia. It's not an easy task. I will never forget, once we developed a project. At that time, I was working for a university in Europe as an expert, as an independent expert. Money was available, but it was expected to have 20% of the staff coming from very well developed countries to bring scientists, researchers, innovators to Hungary, let's say from the States, from Britain. It was not easy. If you are working in Boston and MIT, why do you come to Hungary? It's not enough. On the first hand, it was always a question of salary from Hungarian side, the question of jealousy. Shall we pay 10 times more for those who are coming from West than we are paying for our own professors? This is one of the problems. The second of the problems is, even if you pay enough, they don't come. They don't leave their scientific environment, they don't leave their lobby environment. You have to offer them something. You have to be good enough, even if the resources are enough. So it's a key challenge. Then you have, so it's not enough having the amount. You have to be good enough to bring these researchers in. And here, I think people of the scientific diaspora can be a real bridge to our countries, to Hungary and to Georgia too. There are other widening actions, like the widening fellowships of the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions. There's a policy support facility of the European Union. It means that there's a big project born by a German institution, a consortium led by a German institution, who are delivering service to countries and to the European Commission how to elaborate these widening actions. There is the European Cooperation and Science Technology Network, the cost actions, which can help widening. The National Contact Point System can help widening. There's a special program in Euro and Europe initiative for widening. But a lot of things depend on you. You have to think about it, how to come closer to the framework program, what actions you can have. And I will show here now an example. The European Commission is paying in the frame of the Horizon 2020 framework program centers of European excellence, research and innovation in the United States, in Brazil, and China. These centers should serve European research and innovation bringing results of European research and innovation to the American, Brazilian, and Chinese market. Which are the countries they should participate in these actions? Which are the countries the European Union expect to work together with the centers? The countries of the European Union and the countries associated with the framework program. As I mentioned, since you are associated with the framework program, the Georgian researchers and innovators are, from my point of view, already members of the European Union, from the point of view of research and innovation. You can use the service of these centers. You can use the possibilities of these centers. Please try to use this possibility. What are the centers doing? Where are they? How are they operating? Just a short overview about this. This is the roadmap. And we start with we are members of 2 of the 3 consortia who are establishing these centers. We start with the planning phase, then the piloting phase, then the full implementation phase, and the final phase is the sustainability. The center should be sustainable legal entities. We are somewhere between phase 1 and phase 2. The first calls were launched for European enterprises and researchers to go to the centers. The first center in China was already launched in October. In Brazil, it will be launched next week, and in California in January. What are the benefits of these centers? There are a lot of benefits for the locals and for the Europeans too. The most important is that you can have a partner in the United States to bring your product in the American market in the frame of European cooperation. And I say it very not that loud. There will be European projects which will help European organizations to cooperate with those centers. There will be a call for viability assessments where, for example, Hungarian and Georgian enterprises can work out viability assessments, how to come to the American, Chinese, or Brazilian market with the help of these centers. You are eligible for all these actions. We try to use this. It's very important. In some cases, the centers don't pay all the fees. For example, if you go to an exhibition, an innovation exhibition to Silicon Valley, where the participation fee is quite high, they're paying the participation fee, but you have to pay the cost of travel. I know that in a country like Georgia, the cost of travel from Tbilisi to Silicon Valley can be a monthly salary. So a researcher cannot afford it. You have to help your own researchers. You can do it from your own research budget, or you can use the European funds available in Georgia to help researchers and innovators to go to these exhibitions and to use the possible services of these centers. Who are the clients and beneficiaries? Not only innovation actors and business actors, research actors too. Everybody is aware of it, that if you go to East Europe, Middle Europe, to the Caucasus, then less and less real innovative startups you will have. But some of them are still in the universities and research institutions. Future spin-offs, future startups, future innovation companies. So the services of the centers are open not only for innovation actors and business actors, but for research actors too. How to get involved? Be a client, be a provider. But the most important is stay in touch. Just write an email, find the centers on the net. I hope you will be able after this presentation to find the centers on the net and try to be in touch with the centers and look how you can use the possibility of the centers in your countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
Now we are giving a word to our guest speaker from Max Planck Institute, from Molecular Biology Center, and we would also like to thank him for his contribution and participation in today's event.
So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting. And honestly, I agreed to come here because I have something really concrete to start with. Because you know, it's great that Georgia is part of this you know, European scientific community, but I think it's also important to start really and to make it working. And so I will try today just to show you how and what we want to do, and maybe we'll discuss during the coffee break or afterwards. So is it possible to make it working, or maybe it is just you know, illusion. Sometimes illusions are big, and we are working on it. So not knowing Adam, I will try to, so to say, give you all the steps he showed on his slides, whether it is really eligible, you see, whether we are really doing something which is maybe is working. Okay, first of all, the previous slide, I'm not talking about this topic because it's not my topic. I cannot speak about all Georgian scientists. I'm speaking about myself, and I'm speaking about a project which is should be, so to say, proposed and proceeded. So, who am I? Temo Bursalia. I'm working at Max Planck Institute in Dresden, and this is an institute very prominent from the architectural point of view. By the way, it's really very famous architects which build this institute, and also very prominent. I'm not afraid of this world. It is a very prominent institute in Europe, and very successful publications, grants. So it's really one of the centers of the cell biology in the meantime. So what I'm doing, I am by education molecular biologist and cell biologist, and I'm working on metabolic transitions, lipid biochemistry, and cryptobiology, and I'm coming to this. And because I'm a scientist, I like to bring something which you see that it is the real, not just numbers and whatever, but it's about science, what we are doing, and what we want to, so to say, apply for these horizons. Okay? And cryptobiology sounds very esoteric, but it means, crypto means hidden. It's hidden life. We are working on hidden life, and I will try to explain in very small or short way what is this. But before I come to this, I will tell you that I am working with worms. This is Sinorhabditis elegans. Okay, Ara. Worms. And even my wife sometimes laughs that I'm working with worms, but no, it's not very hilarious, because this is one of the major model organisms of the 20th and this century, which gave us great opportunities to study what is life at all. And beyond these organisms are at least 10 Nobel Prizes, and maybe more will come, because these organisms allows us to understand the fundamentals of their life. Yes, sure, not the, you know, how we are thinking and how we are feeling, but it will give us understanding of major things. Why? Because we know all genes of these organisms. We know all proteins of these organisms. We know all molecules of these organisms. We know all processes which are going, and we're trying now to make systems out of this, and I will think that this will lead to understand what is the fundamentals of the life. Okay? So therefore, studying this organism, we want also to understand what's going on in other organisms. Now, maybe I don't go into these sites. So, Volkswagen Stiftung, which is one of the major and so to say major money-giving body in Germany, started a very important project which is called What is Life? Maybe some physicists from you know a famous book of Schrödinger, which is called What is Life? And this book, by the way, was beginning of the whole biology. This book was beginning. What is life? It was Schrödinger, one of the fathers of quantum mechanics, okay? And now Volkswagen Stiftung started this project, What is Life? And it's a very, very highly funded project. And we applied for this project, me and two my colleagues. And we suggested a project about this cryptobiology, where we think that life is biosis, here, and then we have abiosis, death, and then we have cryptobiosis, or hidden life, where, let's say, organism can survive situation without things which we are associating with life. For instance, without water, without oxygen, without at high temperature or very low temperatures. And it is possible that organisms can survive this. You see. And this is what we suggested, and we, just a moment, and we look at this, but we got this grant. It is about 2.5 million to understand this process. And this slide was the decision. When we went to panel, because of this slide, they gave us this 2.5 million. And I'm telling you what's going on. We have dry, let me maybe stop it and I will explain what's going on here. We learned to dry worms, to get rid of water. It is not alive anymore. And we put water back and they start to resurrect. And this slide was decisive to get this money, and I am hoping to get also many, many other monies to understand this process. And now look at this process yourself. So we have worms which are dried, which have no water at all, 1% maybe. You will see. It's like dust. You put water on it. In the beginning, nothing happens. It's physical state. After a while, something starts. And you will see what happens now. Some of the guys start to move. It's chain reaction afterwards, and they begin to live. And this is actually what we want to understand: how it goes, how it starts, how it is possible to make life stop and then go. And now, coming from this big process, we identified many, many proteins and genes which are involved in this process. And one of them was that in order to be able to this, there are some genes which are absolutely required. And these genes appeared to be associated with several diseases, like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, okay? And we find that, for instance, two substances which are shown here, glycolate and dilactate, are absolutely essential for this maintenance of the mitochondrial function and survival of this state. Okay? And you know, maybe some of you know, biologists, that mitochondria is a major powerhouse of the cell. So it means that this is maybe the core of the understanding what's going on when life starts and is stopped. So now we have these substances, and we want to understand how the mitochondria is regulated, okay, by substances. And as you see here, these substances can ameliorate Parkinson's disease. And it means that theoretically they can also prevent the Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's disease, okay? And therefore, we started now to think how we translate it into so to say, practical way. And happily enough, luckily enough, we know that, for instance, D-lactate, which I showed previously, is about 2% in yogurt. Or so someone is knowing about no yogurt more here. Yes, and glycolic acid is found in high concentrations in some unripe foods. Emali, shindy, and so on. Okay? Corneliskirsch. Okay, so this is now the beginning of the project which I am suggesting for this Horizon 2020. So what we want to do, this was, by the way, when I gave a talk in Bulgaria. On the second day, it was in the major newspapers that Bulgarian yogurt is, so to say, helping mitochondria to heal all diseases, like Dasawali here. So this is yeah, so there's the bright mitochondria are so functional mitochondria, and they say that Bulgarian yogurt is the best, but we know the Georgian matzon is much better, without doubt. Also, Bulgarians have two institutes of just yogurt. Mazzoni Institute. I cannot imagine Georgia having a Mazzoni Institute, but there is a yogurt institute. Okay, so now in October 2016, we founded a company in Tbilisi, which we call Zala, and it's for you. I translated it in for you. It's power, force, more power actually, Zala, and now we want to combine Max Planck Institute, Zala, and I will come later to third part. And this company is, let's say, I don't want to read all this. It is about enforcing mitochondria and making our, let's say, life more powerful. Okay? And here we are. This is me, Emma Australia, and Tim Fredriksson, who is in the audience, and then we have all two other business partners, Sava Pignatza, who is my friend and a great entrepreneur, and Gunter Festel from Switzerland. And so this Zala will try to, let's say, realize things which we are going to do together. And this is, again, getting glycolate enriched fruit extracts, and so on, what I was saying. Now, this directly fits, and maybe we don't go into the details, but it directly fits to Horizon 2020 program, which is called Personalized Foods and Food Supplements. And what we want to do is to apply a big grant which will contain three components. I will come to this, which will be analyzing the compounds we discovered, and also understanding mechanisms, how they are working. And here comes the Agrarian University, which I am honorary professor of. And to be honest, it's not a secret. Kaham Bindukidze and me were going to found a company before it was October 2014. We were trying to, not trying, but we were going to company, but you know that in November 2014, Kaha died, so it didn't work like this. But nevertheless, we would go on and make it further. So Agrarian University is major part of this project. And what we want to do is to combine all these three components. This is Agrarian University, Georgia, Zala, which is also Georgia, and Max Planck University, which is Germany. And I think this fits very nicely what you were saying. We have a partner, which is, let's say, Germany, but we have really very good partners from Georgian side, which are Zala, and Agrarian University. And we want to collect and for all analyze here in Georgia content of different fruits and other things. Also develop different beverage products like drinks and food supplements, again, Zala and Agroni. And what is most important, I think, in this sense, is to understand how these substances work. And we are quite advanced in this, and I think that in several years we will know how the substances work, and it will even more support this, our whole concept. Yeah, here I want to thank you, and
Matlova, thank you very much. According to our agenda, we still have 10 minutes for maybe we could take questions, and then after 10 minutes we will have a 15-minute break, coffee break, and the next session of our info day will be led by our NCP, the Georgian NCP in energy, and Natalia will be focusing on work program related to energy and also, of course, Spire calls, and so these are the things that are Spire calls that are focused on engaging more Eastern European countries, or EAP countries in for participation. So now we can take questions for 10 minutes and then let's have a coffee break. If you have some, you can just go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Zuyat Kirtava. I'm a medical doctor and engaged in some projects in e-health, telemedicine, distance learning. And I am participant on several cost calls and also have been invited as an evaluator for several calls in Brussels. My question is maybe to you, Mr. David, regarding possible coordinator's role for the Georgian institutions. I have some skepticism about that, how relevant that would be to encourage the Georgian institutions without proper budgeting, accounting, and auditing financial skills. Would that be appropriate for the European Union large projects like several millions to have a partner who has not done the same fiscal regulations? And maybe that's an exaggerated expectations would be from our side. I understand that on the other hand, I have tried several times to start a consortium, and although I have a quite significant network of people, but sometimes it was very difficult to get motivated partners, which was several times emphasized here by Mr. Cardo. But on the other hand, being a coordinator, it is also realistically, it is rather difficult for us, which just became associated member states. Thank you. The associates.
As a small company, we ask this question ourselves too. The very first thing is you have to think with the mind of the evaluator. If I'm an evaluator, I look at first on the consortium. If there is a project in biological modeling, if the coordinator is the University of Heidelberg, it sounds better than our company, 6 years old and 10 people employed. This is the trust. This is how it works. And on one hand, on the other hand, we are coordinating one project. The researchers might. We have learned how to coordinate the project. There's always a first time. You have to learn it, and in worst case scenario, you need this interface. Who can help you to handle the administrative questions. But the most important question is how to bring together a consortium, or how to become a member of the consortium. And you mentioned that you are involved in several cost actions. The participants of the cost actions are more or less eligible for Horizon 2020. Please always, when you meet your partners, just ask the question, why don't we run for Horizon 2020 grants? This is my job in our company. I do it always if I meet my partners. It's sometimes a bit tiring, but we have to do it.
Question to Adon. See, greatly interested in. I'm full professor of Georgian Technical University, intergovernmental expert of the European Union. It's very interesting to see position of widening participation. With great support of the European Parliament at Georgian Technical University, we have developed new version of Horizon on the way to the unity of knowledge in the framework of weapons scientists supporting intergovernment agreements. But as far as I understand, it's a pity, but Horizon 2020 doesn't include the approaches of widening cooperation. Such a proposal we have under the aegis of the Georgian Technical University with great support of Ministry of Education and Science, European Parliament, by the way, the very interesting approach of the President of European Parliament, Mr. Antonio Tajani, supposing and proposing the widening of knowledge. And this problem is solved now, and through STOA, you know well, Science and Technology Option Assessment, and third format, we have come to such a unity of knowledge on the circulation of knowledge, on this vector maximum, axial, vector circulation. But as far as I know, we have no opportunity to show you in details. What can we do? Thank you.
And from 2018 to 20, there are, let's say, roughly saying 2,000 calls. I don't know all of them. I have read few of them. It was published 2 weeks ago. I don't know all the codes, and I'm not aware of it. If this special field is in it or not. If it's not in it, then you have to look on cooperation possibilities which are close to this topic to search to look on to search for coordinating and support actions. You can participate in the widening actions. But the widening actions are very hard, because I think in widening actions, one of the top universities of Georgia can have a slot, but not all of the institutions. And you have to look, of course, for other possibilities. If you are very close to the market, like our colleague, I can only encourage him to use the possibilities of the centers in which will be established in China, in the United States, and in Brazil.
It is published already.
Yes, so the calls are published.
Yes, not calls, but this paradigm.
Yeah, but I don't speak the paradigm. I unfortunately haven't read the paradigm. I think the calls are published, and you have to look if there is a call for you or not. You have to go through it very carefully.
Of course, we are carefully together. It's with great support of USA and the European Union and so on. Thank you.
Question to Dr. Kushali. Can you tell us some details about esoterical part of your research?
To be honest, there is nothing esoterical. It is very physical-chemical, and I said that it sounds like esoteric. And it, by the way. You know, the guy who discovered this microscope, von Leeuwenhoek, yeah? So he discovered this ability of animals to be dried and to be resuscitated, okay? And he was a very good friend of Baruch Spinoza, who was great atheist, right? And Leeuwenhoek discovered it when he was 70 years old, and when he have seen that something, you put water and it starts to live, he started to believe in God and make friendship with Baruch Spinoza, I should say, apart. So therefore, this is, I meant that there's some esoteric part of this, but there is nothing esoteric. And by the way, in 19th century, there was a big discussion, and Louis Pasteur was involved in this discussion, and he was chief of committee who was trying to understand, is there resuscitation or resurrection, of the animals? And Pasteur was very, very sly guy, actually very bad guy. And he said that, yes, in some cases it's possible, in some cases it's not possible, so therefore it was postponed to our century. And now we understand in very physical-chemical
Yes, okay.
matters.
Yes, one easy questions. In your experiments, some points of attractors of some process of harmonizations in these cells.
What? Excuse me, I didn't hear.
Attractors, some points they are beginning the process of, for example, harmonizations.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, but you see, we are really in the beginning of this process, and actually maybe it doesn't direct connect with to our conference, but what we know now, there are several pathways which are absolutely important for this process. For instance, I can tell you what we know now, the really proteins which are important, we know the molecules which are important, so therefore I can discuss with you, but I think that it comes out of the context of this conference. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. I'm from the Caucasus University, Nana Pritskhalani. So my question goes to the property right. As I was explained by my colleague, it's upon the agreement during the registration process of the project. However, when there is in place the research and several countries or participants or partner institutes are involved in this process, how and who is dealing with these property rights? So to whom will belong the final research results? It is public, it is for participant countries, or how it works? Thank you.
I will speak about this in the afternoon, but very generally saying we are moving towards the American understanding of public science funding. Everything that was publicly financed must be the public should have the ownership. So there is one part about intellectual property, but the results of the February program project, if it's not otherwise defined, it's public available because it's public money. I will never forget on a training 2004 in South Korea for new member states, former socialist countries. Policymaker told me industry should finance industrial research, governments should finance basic research.
Maybe a comment. But in the case when a company is involved, I think that it's a very valid question, by the way, because how, for instance, company and university, they should somehow arrange laws, right?
I will speak about this in the afternoon. It's obligatory to have an agreement about intellectual property rights before you start the project.
Thank you very much. Now let's have a coffee break and we'll get back together at 11:45. And before that, do you mind
Brussels? And the second part of my presentations will be devoted more to practical information, so how to participate in this program, how to find partners, what some other general indicators and advice. Before I just go to the description of the calls, I would like to make a small announcement. So in the next month, in December, we together with Sea Energy 2020, Sea Energy 2020 is a network of energy NCPs, we are organizing a training for researchers and entrepreneurs in the field of energy. It will be held in Tbilisi in 13th and 14th of December. This training is basically for any organization that is seriously thinking about participation in Horizon 2020 and organizations that are working in the energy or related field. The participants will be provided with theoretical and practical knowledge. There will be a lot of practical exercises, so we will help you to develop necessary skills that you will use then in participation process. And the training sessions will be held by experienced national contact points in the field of energy from UK, Estonia and Poland. So this is not only opportunity to get very useful information, but it's also opportunity for networking, because through the national contact points from these countries, you can get access to partner search facilities and you can get their assistance in finding potential partners from these countries. Apart from that, we will have also guests from Estonia. They are representative on ongoing projects that is funded by Horizon 2020, and I will speak about it a bit later. So I will send out invitations for this training in a couple of days. Unfortunately, we have limited number of places, so we will register participants on the first come, first served principle, and we will give priority to those organizations that are working in the energy or related field. So I have mailing list that includes contact details of researchers and research organizations working in the field of energy. But I'm continually updating my mailing list. So if you are not receiving regularly information about Horizon 2020 related to energy, then please come to me after this session and share with me your contact details, so to make sure that you are in my mailing list and you will receive this information, and you will also receive invitation for the training. So if you are interested in participation in this training, please see me after this session. Unfortunately, I will not be available after this session, so if you have some questions or clarifications, so please meet me after this session. So let's talk about the calls. Here you can see the link to work program, so you can find the whole text, which includes information about open and forthcoming calls. What kind of information you can find in the work program? Basically, this is a description of the topics itself, a description of scope, description of impacts that the European Commission is looking for in these particular projects. Then you can find some information about the indicative budget that is allocated for these particular calls, and also some requirements that you need to satisfy in order to be eligible for this particular call. So everything you can find in one document, which is available on this link. I think the presentation will be also available on the website, so you can easily then access this work program. So there are 8 main areas in work program devoted to energy. This is energy efficiency, global leadership in renewables, smart and clean energy for consumers, smart citizen-centered energy system, smart cities and communities, enabling near-zero CO2 emissions from fossil fuels, power plants and carbon-intensive industries, joint actions and cross-cutting issues. Unfortunately, there are very many calls that are going to be open in 2018, and due to time limit constraint of today's event, unfortunately I'm not able to go through all of them. But I will show you how to get this information so you can see it yourself. All these calls are available online. You just need to go to the participant portal, you need to click to Horizon 2020, and then you can select secure, clean and efficient energy. Then you can, yes, so you will see list of calls, so it's look like that. So make sure that you pick box of forthcoming and open calls. So some calls are already open, and many of them will be open in January of 2018. Till the deadline, usually European Commission allows you for about 6 months for preparation, which is, I think, enough. But still, I would advise you to not only look for open calls, but for forthcoming calls as well. Because all these major communications, finding partners, building consortium, sometimes everything happens before the topic is announced. Topic is open. So you can see what kind of topics will be open, when, so it's includes information when it will be open, like opening date, and it also includes information for deadlines. And then by clicking a particular topic, like you need to click here, and then you can find all the relevant information with regard to particular topic. So what you can find? You can find the code of this particular topic. You will see planned opening date. You can see the deadline. You can see what type of action is it. So in this case, this is research and innovation type of action. Then by clicking more, you will find out more information about this particular topic. So there will be information about the scope of the project. Usually there is some indication of what type of activities can be included in this project. There will be also information about the budget, so what kind of budget is possible for this type of project. And then there is a section on impacts, so what kind of impacts the project should have in order to be successful. In my presentation, just to give you an example, I will focus on energy efficiency calls, and I will pick some of them. So the coverage of the call, that I will also focus only on those calls that will open in January 2018, so the closest call. And total budget for energy efficiency calls that are allocated for 2018 is 90 million euro. And there are several thematic areas on these energy efficiency calls. So there is smart and clean energy for consumers, upgrading buildings' energy performance and smartness, energy efficiency industry and services, energy efficiency as an investment, and support for policy-driven innovations. So here is an example of one of the topic in the thematic field of smart and clean energy for consumers. The topic itself, its role of consumers in changing the market through informed decision and collective actions. This is coordination and support type of actions, which means that it's not only for research organizations. Any organization can participate in this particular call because it doesn't include the research elements itself. So coordination and support type of actions are usually more involving different kind of coordination and support, like trainings, capacity building, seminars, discussion dialogues, etc. So Commission is expecting that this particular project will request funding between 1 and 2 million euros. And in the work program, you can also find out how much money is allocated for this particular topic. So in this case, the European Commission allocates 5 million euros. This means that in this particular topic, there will be at least 2 or 3 projects financed. So you can get some ideas of what kind of competition is there. So the scope is to develop activities informing and motivating consumers to change old and inefficient installed appliances with the highest energy saving potential, like boilers, local space heaters, air heaters, etc., to more efficient and clean energy heating or cooling solutions. So you need to achieve increased comfort, safety, improved air quality, and also possible participation of demand response. So what kind of impact should the project have? So it's very important that the impact is quantitative. So it can be expressed in primary energy savings triggered by the projects in gigawatt hours per year. So you need to estimate what kind of impact the project may have. Investments in sustainable energy triggered by the project in millions of euros. Contribution to reducing regulatory barriers and improving contractual conditions, increased domestic uptake of energy efficient product and service, involvement of at least 5,000 consumers per million of euro of EU funding. This is another quantitative impact of this project. Another project for the same thematic field, another topic from the same thematic field is mitigating household energy poverty. This is again coordination and support type of action. In this case, Commission is looking for, is expecting that the project will require between 1 and 2 million euros, and this also total indicative budget is also 5 million euros. So in this case, the scope is that action should contribute to actively elevating energy poverty and developing a better understanding of the types and needs of energy poor households and how to identify such households. Proposed action should cover one or more of the following. So it should facilitate behavior change and implementation of lowest cost energy efficiency measures. It should support the setup of financial and non-financial support schemes for energy efficiency and small-scale renewable energy investments, or develop, test and disseminate innovative scheme for energy efficiency and renewable energy investments. In this case, again, the Commission is looking for quantitative impacts, so the primary energy savings triggered by the project in gigawatt hours per year, investment in sustainable energy triggered by the project in millions of euros, contribution to policy development and to best practice development on energy poverty, support schemes for energy efficiency and most small-scale renewable energy investments, and again, involvement of at least 5,000 consumers per million of euro funding, and also reduction of greenhouse gases in tons of CO2 equivalent per year. I brought one example of the project that was financed in the similar thematic area. So, in previous, usually in this work programs, thematic areas are very similar. So, in previous work program, thematics for previous work program you can find also in the current work program. It slightly changed. So, with similar in similar thematic areas, there was one project that from the previous work program that basically got financed, that was funded. This project called CLEAR, which basically means enabling consumers to learn about, engage with, adopt and regulate renewable energy technologies. This was also coordination and support type of action. In this case, the project consortia received 2.4 million of euros. Coordinator was a private organization from Belgium, and the objective of the project, this is an ongoing project, is to accompany consumers through all the stages leading to purchase and correct efficient use of domestic renewable and low carbon energy technologies. So the project focuses on changing behavior of consumers as well as on optimization of existing installations. And the project started in September 2017 and will finish in February 2020. So partners in this project, in this consortia, are mainly consumer organizations, and it includes also European Consumer Organization. You can find more information in this particular project by clicking on this link here. And by the way, I will also speak about it a bit later. You can find information on all funded projects by Horizon 2020, so you can get better idea of what kind of activities are funded on this project. And it's also a good way to find potential partners, because all data on who are participating in this project, starting from coordinator and listing all the contact details of partners in this consortium will help you to find potential partners. So if you're also interested in this thematic area, you can try to contact organizations that are already involved or were involved in the past in the similar projects, because they may have desire to apply for similar grants in future as well. Another thematic areas in energy efficiency call is upgrading buildings, energy performance and smartness. In this case, I picked example of innovation action, and this is decarbonization of EU building stock, innovative approaches and affordable solutions changing the market for building renovations. In this case, the project may ask for between 3 and 4 million of euros, and total indicative budget is 9. So it means that at least 2 or maybe 3 projects, depends on the amount required by the project with the highest score, will be financed in this particular topic in 2018. So I'm speaking only for 2018 finance. So scope in this case is that the proposal should demonstrate solutions addressing building, fabric and technical systems that ensure faster and more cost-effective deep renovation that result in high energy performance. So proposal should demonstrate solutions that aim for large-scale rollout according to defined business model and financial schemes for owners. The project is expected to bring technology to the technology readiness level 8 and 9. Technology readiness level description is also available at the European Commission website. And in this case, this high technology readiness level means that the technology is almost ready for the market. So it's already developed, technology is tested, and it's available. It can be transferred to the market. Impact in this case is estimated in primary energy savings triggered by the project in gigawatt hours per year, again quantitative indicators. Investments in sustainable energy triggered by the project in millions of euros. High energy performance in renovated buildings. Measurable cost reduction compared with a typical renovation. Reduction of time needed on site and renovation works by 20% compared to current national standard practice. Demonstration of the effectiveness and applicability of the proposed solutions to lead to increased rate of renovation for defined building typologies in several districts, cities, regions. It's very important that the project results are replicable in other countries as well. So this is one of the measures I think you should take into consideration. Another topic from the same thematic area is integrated home renovation services. In this case, this is coordination and support type of action. And as you can see, money allocated for coordination and support type of actions are usually lower than for renovation actions. In this case, you can ask for $500,000 or $1.5 million, but total indicative budget is 7. So there will be quite a lot of projects financing this particular topic in 2018. So the scope is the developed services should cover the whole customer journey, from technical and social diagnosis, technical offer, contracting of works, structuring and provision of finance like loans, etc., to the monitoring of works and quality assurance. So the whole chain. And the proposal should build upon the promising experience of integrated innovative services emerging in Europe and aim at developing, improving economically viable business models, running without the need of public subsidies. And this is very important. So the project should provide such a business models that can run without the need for public subsidies. And impact, in this case, it's not always quantitable, so in this case you can assess impact as data evidence made available to market actors, proof of the replication of this initiative by other market actors, strong and trustworthy partnerships with local actors like SMEs, ESCOs, financial institutions, energy agencies, NGOs, and quality of the proposed services recognized by market actor. One example of project that was financed by Horizon 2020 is Foreign EU, if I'm correctly pronouncing this acronym. Here you can find a link to the project itself, so you can learn more information, and the project also has its official website, so you can find information also there. This is innovation type of action, and the topic that was applied was called Supporting, Accelerating and Cost-Effective Deep Renovation of Buildings through Public-Private Partnership. So they applied for this particular topic, and they get financed by 4.6 million euro, but they also had some cost share part, and EU contribution in this case was only 4 million euros. Coordinator was from Italy. This is a research organization, and the objective of their project is to define robust, cost-effective, tailorable deep renovation technology packages that are supported by usable methodologies, feeding into reliable business models. The project minimizes failures in design and implementation, manage different stages of the deep renovation process from the audit up to the end of life, and provide information on energy, comfort, users' impact, and investment performance. The project started in October 2016 and will finish in September 2020. The project consortium has 12 partners, and mainly their partners are from private and public bodies. Another thematic areas is energy efficient industry and services. And one topic is capacity building programs to support implementation of energy audits. This is coordination and support type of action, and budget is between 1 and 2 million, and total indicative budget is 10. Again, there will be quite a lot of project financed in this topic, so at least 5. So proposal should focus on one or more of the following issues. It can be staff trainings and capacity building programs, facilitating SMEs to undergo energy audits and to implement the recommended energy saving measures, Capacity buildings to support the take-up of audits recommendation and undertake the actions necessary to reduce energy consumption in the companies required to undergo the energy audits. An impact can be estimated in the primary energy savings triggered by the project in gigawatt hours per year, investment in sustainable energy triggered by the project in millions of euros, market stakeholders with increased skills, capability, competences to be measured in number of people with increased capacity. So again, quantitative indicators. Number of people, enterprises with enhanced energy culture, documenting why and how changes are an effect of a particular measures taken as a consequence of energy audits. Another example from another thematic field, which is energy efficiency and investments. So this is again coordination and support of type of action. As you can see in energy efficiency call, there are plenty of topics of coordination and support of type of actions. And here the budget is between 1 and 1.5 million of euros, and total indicative budget is 6. The scope is that proposal should address the development of replication and implementation of innovative financing schemes for energy efficiency investment. Proposals should address one or more of the following points: establishment of new innovative operational financing schemes, replication of previously successful solutions, like those developed and implemented under various projects, again maybe financed by Horizon 2020, creation of new or regional national energy efficiency investments roundtables or platforms to organize dialogue with and between the relevant stakeholders. In this case, the impact can be estimated in primary energy savings, again triggered by the project in gigawatt hours per year, investments in sustainable energy triggered by the project in millions of euros, delivery of innovative financing schemes that are operational and ready to finance, and EU or regional energy efficiently investment roundtables or platforms in place that will provide a comprehensive range of support services to facilitate access to energy efficiency finance. Another topic from the same thematic field is mainstreaming energy efficiency finance. Again, coordination and support type of actions, and EU contribution could be between 1 and 1.5 million of euros with total indicative budget of 6. In this case, the proposal should address at least one of the following issues. It could be development of demonstration and promotion of frameworks for the standardization and benchmarking of sustainable energy investments. It can be capacity building for banks and investors at the national and local level. It can be gathering, processing and disclosing large-scale data on actual financing performance of energy-efficient investments, or further integration of non-energy benefits in project valuation, or targeting institutional investors in order to increase the share of their funds investment in energy efficiency, or exploring the impact of revised risk rating and requirements for energy efficiency on financial regulations. So impact in this case can be as a number of financial institutions and other stakeholders reached, as well as the potential volume of investment concerned, development of a secondary market for energy efficient assets in millions of euros of investments within the 5 years after the end of the project. One example of the project that was financed in this thematic area is called Investor Confidence Project. And you can find information about this project on its official website. This was coordination and support type of action, and the budget in this case was 1.5 million of euro, fully covered by the Horizon 2020. There was no cost share. Coordinator was from UK. It was private organization. And the objective of this particular project was to unlock access to financing for the building renovation market by standardizing how energy efficiency projects are developed and measured. And the project worked with key stakeholders to develop open source protocols that can be applicable to real projects. So the project started in May this year and will finish in April 2019, so it's just only 2 years. And it involves 6 partners, mainly from private organizations. Another thematic areas of energy efficiency call is support for policy-driven innovation. So in this case, again, coordination and support type of action, and it support public authorities to implement the energy union. In this case, the scope can be different, so there can be different kind of projects. First is support to local and regional public authorities by delivering high quality and consistency of energy efficiency measures implemented through enhanced coordination of different administrative levels, support public authorities in the development of transition roadmaps that clearly outline the path to European long-term 2050 targets, or developing innovative ways to enable public engagement in the energy transitions. I would like to say that Georgian organizations are really very welcome to participate in this type of calls, because one of the preconditions is that the municipalities or the local authorities are part of any international initiatives like Covenant of Mayors. And in Georgia we have, if I'm not mistaken, 16 cities that are, or even 18, 18 cities that joined this initiative. So any organizations that have any relation to the municipalities that are part of Covenant of Mayor can easily participate in this type of call. And another type of call is delivery of the Energy Efficiency Directive, assisting member states to fulfill the obligations under the Energy Efficiency Directive and help them with its efficient implementation. So since Georgia joined the energy community this year officially, as our parliament ratified this agreement this year, implementation of Energy Efficient Directive and moreover being part of European consortium and having the possibility to work with the European organization and to learn experience from them is really very relevant for Georgian case. In this case, the contribution can be between 1 and 1.5 million, and total indicative budget is 8. One example of the project with a similar thematic area that was financed by Horizon 2020 is Panel 2050. The project official website is here, and the total budget that they received was 1.8 million euros. The coordinator is from Estonia. This is Tartu Regional Energy Agency, and by the way, we will have representative of this agency at our training. They will tell training participants more in detail about their activities, what they're going to do in this project, and they also will share the experience, how they manage to be successful and to get finance for their project. And we will also have representative from another Estonian organization that participates in this project as a partner. So we will have 2 international organizations. So again, for those who are interested in this training, there will be a good possibility to speak with potential partners and to network. So the project started in March and will finish in March 2016 and will finish in February 2019, and it involves 12 partners from 11 countries. So this was a brief overview of some of the calls, because it's really impossible to look through all of them, but you can easily access all these calls on participant portal and on the work program, and to find all the necessary information there. If you have any specific question, I will show you my contact detail at the end of the presentation. You can call me, you can write me emails, and we can go through all the specific questions that you may have during this process. So how to participate in Horizon 2020? And the first presentation in today's event was basically devoted to this issue, and Adam basically went through all the major steps that you need to go through. I would like to point out the registration and PIC number. Basically, you will need this PIC number closer to the end of the process, when you need to already submit your proposal, or when you participate in a consortium that is submitting proposal, because all partners need to submit the PIC number. But I really advise you to make, if you're thinking about participation in Horizon 2020, I really advise you to register and get this PIC number in advance, because it takes time, and even in the phase of communication with potential partners, sometimes partners ask you to provide them with your PIC number. So it's better to have it, in place. And you can check whether you're already registered. Maybe you work in a university that is already registered and has this PIC number, or if it's not, you can register here. It's have quite a simple instruction. So you will get the EU login and then 9-digit PIC number. This basically is obligatory. Without it, you cannot participate. But the other steps are kind of voluntary. It's up to you to decide. So you can register also at Cordis. Here is the link. And you can get access to partner search. So the Cordis has partner search facility. This is online tool, and I will explain you a bit later about it. And also Cordis includes information about all past projects that were financed by Horizon 2020 of previous framework programs. So you can see what kind of projects were financed, because as you can see, the thematic areas are very similar. So if you are thinking about, for example, energy efficiency in buildings, you can see what kind of projects were financed in this particular direction and who were the organizations that received the funding, and you can try to contact them. This is one of the good ways to start finding potential partners. Of course, if you don't have already established good international network, in this case, everything is much simpler. And you can also register in Energy 2020 portal. This is a portal of network of energy NCPs. Unfortunately, now they're in the process of upgrading their website, so now there is not much information on the partnership search facilities, but I think they will update it in future. And also, once your proposal is successful, so on the last stage, and you are invited to the grant preparation for the legal representative, you need to appoint a legal representative of your organization. And usually this is a person from administrative staff who will be responsible for updating of your information about your organization and some other stuff. But it's more on the later stages of grant application. So you can participate in Horizon 2020 in two ways. You can be a coordinator and coordinate the whole process. In this case, first you need to find the call, then you need to find partners to build a good consortium. It's very important to build a strong consortium, because basically evaluators look very closely at who is the members of consortium, and then you're responsible for writing and submission of a proposal. And basically the roles of coordinators were already mentioned in the presentation during the Adam's presentation, so you can get idea that being coordinator is not an easy task at all. Another way of participation is being a partner. In this case, again, you need to find a call, the one that close to your research interests, the one that you think that you can contribute with your expertise and knowledge. Then you need to find the partners and enter a consortium. It's my personal advice. Of course, it's up to you to decide which way to choose. But for those organizations that have not much experience in Horizon 2020 or in any European framework programs, I would suggest to start with this way. Because this is also not an easy. Because, you know, Horizon 2020 is the 8th framework program. Before that, there was 7. Each framework program was with duration of several years. So for such a long period, organizations from European countries cooperate with each other, work with each other, they know each other, they trust each other, and they already built a strong network of contacts. It's a kind of a bit closed community, and it's not an easy task to enter this community and to be part of a really successful consortium, because your chances for success if you're a partner of a consortium directly related to the success rate of the consortium itself and on the coordinator as well. So it's also not an easy task, but in this case you will get very valuable experience. You will understand, because framework programs are very different from the national donor projects that we used to have in our countries. There are different participation rules, there are different reporting, there are different financial documents required, etc. So you will gain this very valuable experience. You will gain contacts that you will need in future. So it's a good possibility for you to build your own network. And you can try to be either task leader or work package leader, because in all projects the whole project is divided into work packages. So you can try to start with work package leadership, and then in future, if you already participated in several successful projects, then you can think about coordinating. So I think that in this stage, I would advise organizations from Georgia, those that have not much experience in Horizon 2020, to try to become a member of a consortium, in such a consortium, in the topics that they think that they are eligible for. So topics that you can see that you can contribute. So with your knowledge, experience, etc. So as for partner search, how to find the partners? And as I already mentioned, this is really a challenge for a newcomer country and organizations from newcomer countries. So first of all, you need to talk to your partners and their friends. So maybe you have already some international partners and you have participated in some joint projects, maybe not funded by Horizon 2020, but funded by other donors, but maybe you already have some international partners. You need to talk to them and suggest them potential cooperation in Horizon 2020. You can use your academic and personal contacts as well. So you need to start with the contacts that you already have. Then you can talk to your colleagues and their friends. You can use partner search tools. One is available at CODIS, for example. And there are also thematic search tools like in Energy 2020 and I know that there is similar tool for environment, thematic topic, etc. You can also find partners who partner offers distributed by national contact point. So I, as a national contact point, sometimes distribute these partner offers because I am a member of international network of NCPs, and sometimes I get some information from international organizations that is looking for potential additional partners, and they send me their profiles, and then I distribute this profile within my network. So I usually using again my mailing list to distribute these potential partner offers, and then companies may cooperate and they find the common interest of cooperation. You can also use thematic groups in social media. Basically, social media was not considered as a serious source for partner search recently, but I found out that there is a very active group in LinkedIn social network. If someone is registered there, you can check. There is official LinkedIn group called Horizon 2020, and it includes quite a lot of participants, and they have very interesting discussion about different calls, and sometimes they are trying to use this tool to find potential partners. So you can also check this tool as well if you're comfortable with social media. Another important topic that I want to mention is participation in brokerage event. The main goal of the brokerage event is a special event designed for finding potential partners, and I will speak about it a bit later. And also you can participate in international workshops and conferences, again in your thematic areas, and this is a good way to find potential partners, because in thematic workshops and conferences, all people working in particular field, they are gathered together, and it's a good way for communicating, for networking, and to finding potential partners. And one important thing that I want to mention, you need to be visible. So you need to contact as many international and potential partners as possible, because it's very difficult to get to this community, but once you are there, once you proved that you can be a reliable partner, once you prove that you have experience and expertise in a particular field, then your life became easier, at least in Horizon 2020. So for the next calls, you already will have a network of contacts, so for you it will be much easier. But it's very difficult to get for the first time there. And as for partner search tools, as I was already, there is one is CODIS. This is Community Research and Development Information Service. So in this CODIS website, you can find, like here, so you can register, or you can look for already registered profiles. There are two types of profiles. One is proposing a project, which is here. You can see that it's more than 1,000 of proposing a project. In this case, it means that the consortia is already maybe not established, but already there are several partners with definite idea, and they are looking for additional partners. So this is basically the ideal situation if you find some proposing project profile with a similar topic that you are interested in, and then you can try to contact them, and if you are successful enough, you may become a partner in their project. Another type of profiles is offering collaboration. As you can see, there are much more of that. In this case, basically, these are researchers or research organizations which offer their research expertise and research interests, and who are willing to participate in possible project. So you can register, for example, in both of these, or you can register at least at offering collaboration and list what are your key expertise, what can you do, what are you strong at, and what kind of calls are you looking for. And then you might be contacted for some interested organizations. International workshops and seminars are also very important. You can find event calendar at CNH 2020, which is available in this link. So it's lists all international conferences on different topics, all topics of course related to energy. You can find event calendar at H 2020 website, which is available here. It's have more broad coverage. It's not only on energy but on other fields as well. I also disseminate some information about international conferences that are held either in Georgia or abroad. Sometimes they even allow some grants, for travel grants, for those who may make a presentation on these events. There is also a list of events at Cordis. It's also available here. And Rustaveli National Science Foundation used to have travel grants. I'm not sure whether they have it still. Do you have it still?
Grants for mobility.
Yes. So, and sometimes they also issue grants for brokerage events visits. Yes. So you also can look at Rustaveli website and find some information about these travel grants, which is basically a very good opportunity to visit brokerage events and international conference and to have cover your costs. And of course, brokerage events, it's primary goal of brokerage events is to find partners. So brokerage event is such an event. So here I brought a picture from typical brokerage event. As you can see, there are plenty of tables. And at each table, there are two participants from different organizations, and they have usually 20-25 minutes to talk and to discuss possible cooperation. So this is basically a set of bilateral meetings that are being held in one particular meeting room. So what are my advices for these brokerage events? Again, information about brokerage events you can find either on the websites that I listed in the previous slide, or once I have information about the brokerage event devoted to the energy topic, I distribute it through my mailing list. Here you can find a link to the recent brokerage event that was held in October in Brussels. It was a side event to the presentation of new work program. And you can visit the website and see what kind of organizations were there and how many meetings were held, what are the topics that were covered, and other than general information. So what are my advices for those who are interested in this brokerage event? Your visit to brokerage event can be effective only in the case if you prepare in advance. Otherwise, you will just waste your time. Prepare in advance means that each brokerage event has its website. It's very comfortable and very user-friendly. So you need to register in advance. You need to register your profile of your organization, where you will list what are the key expertise, what type of organization you represent, how many staff members do you have, etc., what are your key research interests, etc. And then you need to submit also cooperation profiles. In this case, it's very important that your cooperation profiles are written in the right way. So they're stressing what are your key strengths, what are your key interests, and it's very good if you already looked through the work program and you picked several topics that you're particularly interested in, and you can indicate these topics here. So you're looking for potential partners who are also interested in the same cause. This will make your partner search easier. You can check new profiles regularly. There is a special filters on these websites when you can basically filter and look like once a week or once in 2 weeks what are the new profiles added to this website, because sometimes registered more than 100 participants. It's very difficult to go through 100 profiles in one day. But if you do it regularly, you can get better idea what kind of participant are there, and you can book meetings in advance with them. So the booking is usually opened in a couple of weeks before the event itself. So you can book meeting and you already start some communication with your potential partners. Because if you don't book meeting, it's very difficult to Because everyone has already booked meets, they know with whom they are going to meet. So you need for sure to book as many meetings as you think that is reasonable for you. And then of course you need to bring business cards, relevant publication, your organization profile, brochures, etc. Everything that is possible to help your partners to get more information about yourself. So I think that if you prepared, then the brokerage events is really very good opportunity for you to find potential partners. But if you have not enough time to visit this event, or you don't have enough financial resources, because all travel costs are covered by participants, of course. So participation in the brokerage event itself is free of charge, but you need to buy your tickets, you need to book accommodation, you need to cover other expenses. So in this case, at least what you can do is to visit the brokerage event websites and to look through the participants and to see what kind of organizations are going to be there. And very often, organizations, the cooperation profile, in the organizational profiles, they indicate the contact details. So okay, you cannot go there and to meet them in person, but at least you can write them email. There is no guarantee that they will answer, but they may. And then you can arrange a Skype call, Skype conference, and then discuss potential topics. I have my personal experience that I was not able to participate in particular brokerage event, and I contacted a person that was going to be there, and we had very productive conference call, and we basically had quite a productive cooperation as future as well. So this is a possible, and this is free of charge. The only thing that you need to invest is your time. So this was the main information that I wanted to share with you. If you have any specific question, or if you want to share with me your contact details so you are informed about any other similar events in future, and about if you want to receive invitation for the training as well, so please come to me after the session and we will discuss it. Thank you.
And from 2018 to 20, there are, let's say, roughly saying 2,000 calls. I don't know all of them. I have read few of them. It was published 2 weeks ago. I don't know all the calls, and I'm not aware of it. If this special field is in it or not. If it's not in it, then you have to look on cooperation possibilities which are close to this topic, to search for coordinating and support actions. You can participate in the widening actions, but the widening actions are very hard, because I think in widening actions, one of the top universities of Georgia can have a slot, but not all of the institutions. And you have to look, of course, for other possibilities. If you are very close to the market, like our colleague, I can only encourage him to use the possibilities of the centers in which will be established in China, in the United States, and in Brazil.
It is published already.
Yes, so the calls are published.
Yes, not calls, but this paradigm.
Yeah, but I don't speak the paradigm. I unfortunately haven't read the paradigm. I think the calls are published, and you have to look if there is a call for you or not. You have to go through it very carefully.
Of course, we are carefully together with the support of USA and the European Union and so on. Thank you.
Question to Dr. Kursali. Can you tell us some details about esoterical part of your research?
To be honest, there is nothing esoterical. It is very physical-chemical, and I said that it sounds like esoteric. And it, by the way, you know, the guy who discovered this microscope, von Leeuwenhoek, yeah. So he discovered this ability of animals to be dried and to be resuscitated. Okay, and he was a very good friend of Baruch Spinoza, who was great atheist, right? And Leeuwenhoek discovered it when he was 70 years old, and when he have seen that something, you put water and it starts to live, he started to believe in God and make friendship with Baruch Spinoza, I would say, apart. So therefore, this is, I meant that there's some esoteric part of this. But there is nothing esoteric. And by the way, in 19th century, there was a big discussion, and Louis Pasteur was involved in this discussion, and he was chief of committee who was trying to understand, is there resuscitation or resurrection, of the animals? And Pasteur was very, very sly guy, actually very bad guy. And he said that, yes, in some cases it's possible, in some cases it's not possible, so therefore it was postponed to our century. And now we understand in very physical-chemical matters.
Yes, one easy questions. In your experiments, some points of attractors of some process of harmonizations in these cells.
What about, excuse me, I didn't hear.
Attractors, some points where beginning the process of, for example, harmonizations.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, but you see, we are really in the beginning of this process, and actually maybe it doesn't direct connect with to our conference, but what we know now, there are several pathways which are absolutely important for this process. For instance, I can tell you what we know now, the really proteins which are important, we know the molecules which are important, so therefore I can discuss with you, but I think that it comes out of the context of this conference. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. I'm from the Caucasus University in Anna. So my question goes to the property right. As I was explained by my colleague, it's upon the agreement during the registration process of the project. However, when there is in place the research and several countries or participants or partner institutes are involved in this process, how and who is dealing with these property rights? So to whom will belong the final research results? It is public, it is for participant countries, or how it works? Thank you.
I will speak about this in the afternoon, but very generally saying we are moving towards the American understanding of public science funding. Everything that was publicly financed must be the public should have the ownership. So there is one part about intellectual property, but the results of the February program project, if it's not otherwise defined, it's public available because it's public money. I will never forget on a training 2004 in South Korea for new member states, former socialist countries. Policymaker told me industry should finance industrial research, governments should finance basic research.
Maybe a comment. But in the case when a company is involved, I think that it's a very valid question, by the way, because how, for instance, company and university, they should somehow arrange laws, right?
I will speak about this in the afternoon. It's obligatory to have an agreement about intellectual property rights before you start the project.
Thank you very much. Now let's have a coffee break and we'll get back together at 11:45. And before that, do you mind